Stirred, not shaken. .007 Skyfall. Now the story to Skyfall, without giving away too many spoilers, is that the movie begins with James Bond and a partner of his on a pursuit to retrieve a hard drive which contains the list of all the agents and terrorist organizations around the world. And when James Bond fails to retrieve the hard drive and then is presumed dead, MI6 is attacked sometime later, which then forces Bond to have to come out of his so-called little crippled retirement and try to go after who was responsible for this attack and find out why. It is soon later discovered that it is actually responsible of an agent who was once working with M from her past and seeks revenge on a very personal vendetta level. And it is up to James Bond to figure out exactly what this threat is and stop it no matter what the cost. Now, I would just like to say that this movie, in a sense, is unquestionably the most beautifully filmed James Bond film to date, and it definitely stands apart. So whoever did the cinematography, excellent job. It definitely, in my opinion, looks maybe almost as good as a Christopher Nolan film. In fact, I may be confused if Christopher Nolan ever decided to do a film. Anyway, Skyfall has some of the single best moments in the entire James Bond franchise, at least for me. It has the single best opening chase scene. It has the best, I would say, intro video, along with having the best James Bond theme song that I've heard since GoldenEye. And what I really liked about this particular movie is the chemistry between James Bond and the villain, which is played by Javier Bardem, who has unquestionably the best villain intro I've ever seen, which is just a long shot from him coming down an elevator and walking towards James Bond as he's giving a monologue, and it is just one long shot. It's not a cut between, you know, showing Bond and then showing him. It's just one shot, and in my opinion, probably is one of the best shots I've seen all year by far. Another thing that makes James Bond Skyfall different from other ones is that it does for Bond what previous movies have failed to do, and that is give James Bond depth. He's no longer a simple character with just a whole bunch of cliches like we've seen in the previous, I would say, 20 films between Sean Connery to Pierce Brosnan. He is now a three-dimensional character who actually has a past, and that past actually affects who he is, and so we actually get a better understanding of what this Bond is all about, and just how dark of a past he has, and how it will always come back to haunt him no matter how much he tries to forget about it. Skyfall also has just the best sense of adventure, just the scale of the threat that faces James Bond and MI6 is simply a more realistic take, and they actually acknowledge how the threat that the 007 project, which they call in this movie, has changed since previous installments, and they actually acknowledge that. And on a very just amazing note, they actually managed to throw little tributes to previous films involving showing specific scenes or certain angles which were done in previous Bond films, while bringing some old, let's say, vehicles which we haven't seen in quite some time. And that's a very good tribute to acknowledge that this is a James Bond film and it is celebrating the 50th anniversary. My only gripe with it is that at many times, I believe the director, Sam Mendes, was so influenced by the movies The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises that he may have added a couple of formulas too much to the point where it's clear he was influenced. But if you're going to show that you were influenced by another movie idea, try not to make it look too familiar. Try to change it up and make it more original, or try to hide it behind something so it doesn't just automatically say, oh, you took this from this movie, and although it works, I can tell where you got it. That's my only gripe for Skyfall. Anyway, as you can tell, this was an amazing James Bond film. This automatically solidifies why Daniel Craig is officially now my favorite James Bond of all time, which is why I'm proud to give Skyfall a 9.5 out of 10. If you're a fan of James Bond, or just a fan of movies in general, definitely go check this out. In fact, I say check it out twice. If you like this review, please like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep track of me and my future movie reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.